The fashion industry is constantly changing and evolving. This makes it a very interesting, but also a very challenging industry. So, my question is, how do you stay relevant with an industry that is constantly changing? How do you keep up to date with the changing consumer trends? To make sure you are a relevant and successful designer, you need to design in the present for the future. To do this, you need to study the past and present to predict the future. Luckily, there are amazing people doing this for you, and with their help and expertise, you can incorporate these future trends into your design process. Hello guys, I hope you are all doing well. Are you keen to find out what the lesson quote is? Today's quote is by Alice Walker. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. Today's objectives are to define sustainability, explain the pillars of sustainability, list the 4 R's, identify reliable fashion resources, and develop a sustainable design style. Welcome to Lesson 5, titled The Future of Fashion. I'm so excited about this one, guys. I am quite passionate about this topic, as you will notice. Considered to be a buzzword, we often hear the word sustainability thrown around in many kinds of conversations. But have you ever taken the time to think about what sustainability really means? The most common definition of sustainability is to meet the needs of the present, so us right now, without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Now, this clearly has something to do with protecting the environment and the usage of resources. But as you should remember, sustainability has 3 pillars, which are environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, and social sustainability. To be truly sustainable, it is important for you to take all 3 of these into account. The 3 pillars are considered to be interdependent, which means that they all need to work together. Let's give some attention to each pillar, starting with environmental sustainability. As you already know, environmental sustainability is all about interacting with the planet responsibly so that we don't jeopardize the ability for future generations to meet their needs. So how can you be more environmentally sustainable? There are many ways. I am just going to list a few ways. So you can be more environmentally sustainable by creating capsule collections. Now this can mean anything from the amount of clothes produced, so designing and producing less styles, to the type of clothing you design. Instead of tapping into fads and trends, try and design something that the consumer can wear for a long time. Using more eco-friendly fabrics. Now you'll notice that I'm using the word eco-friendly and not natural. That is because not all natural fabrics are considered to be eco-friendly. Take cotton for instance. So, it is important to pay attention to the composition of materials to find out if they are really sustainable. Another good way to go is to use fabric that is not mixed, so 100% linen and not 80% linen and 20% polyester. Why? Well, mixed fabrics are more challenging to recycle. And zero waste pattern making or construction. This is quite an interesting one, so I will elaborate a bit. Zero waste pattern making is a process where you alter a pattern so that there is little to no fabric waste. Of course, as you can imagine, this is a bit more challenging and requires quite a bit of creativity, but some really cool designs can be developed this way. This image on your screen is an example of a shirt, and as you can see, the pieces kind of fit together like a puzzle. This is a great and creative way to reduce your environmental footprint while making some interesting and unique pieces. So that was environmental sustainability. Let's take a look at what economic sustainability is and how this can be improved in the fashion industry. Economic sustainability refers to any kind of practices that support long-term economic growth without negatively impacting the environment or the social and cultural aspects of a community. So, in other words, it includes the incorporation of practices to sustain resources, both material resources and human resources. To remain an active participant in the fashion design industry, it is important for brands to have a financial plan. For your brand to stay alive, the sale of the product should cover the business expenses and you should make a bit of profit. If you want to learn about this a bit more, check out Shaw Academy's financial planning course. Transparency in your business is also important. It informs the consumers about the costs and profit margins of the business. It also enables consumers to analyze what companies are doing in terms of protecting the environment and how they are addressing human rights. Also consider applying a circular economy instead of a linear one to avoid waste and increase the life cycle of the products. Let me tell you a bit more about this. A lot of businesses, especially in the fashion industry, has a linear economy, which is where resources are gathered and made into a product. That product is then sold and used by consumers until they discard it. The circular economy is challenging the linear one as a more sustainable alternative. The circular economy closes the loop and is considered a regenerative economy which reduces waste by maximizing the resources. You are probably wondering how. Well, as you can see in the image, instead of discarding waste, the business will reuse, repair, and recycle the product and transform it into something else. This is a great way to be both environmentally and economically sustainable. Last but not least is social sustainability. Curious to find more about this pillar? Social sustainability refers to policies or practices that support social issues and promote well-being. Some of these issues include employment, education, healthcare, and many more. So, in simpler terms, it is really about understanding what people need from the place where they work and where they live. So how can you be more socially sustainable? Well, by supporting local businesses. Whether you are a consumer or a designer, supporting local businesses or factories and suppliers will be great. This way you can monitor the conditions of the workers who are responsible for the product. Many fashion brands prefer to manufacture their clothes where the costs are the lowest, but the costs are that low due to low wages and shocking working conditions. I also recommend you all watch the documentary The True Cost, which is about the social issues in the fashion industry. Along with local businesses, it is best to support fair trade. What is fair trade? Fair trade is garments that are produced in a way that aligns with the ethical trade guidelines and standards. So really it is about the well-being of the workers and ensuring good and safe working conditions, giving them access to healthcare, fair payment, and other necessities. Fair trade and transparency go together very well and keeps the business accountable. Next up, the relevant R's. Do you have any idea which R's I am referring to? I am of course referring to reuse, reduce, and recycle. I think we have all seen this image somewhere before, right? But did you know there are actually 4 R's? I have already mentioned the first 3 R's, so who can guess what the 4th one is? It is recover. Now, these 4R words are an important part of sustainable living. But what do they mean? Reuse items as much as possible before discarding or replacing the item. Ideally, you would use an item more than once. When we create, there will always be obstacles. Being a fashion designer, making patterns and constructing garments is not easy. But you do not have to overcomplicate it. If a pattern does not work out or if a sample does not fit properly, instead of throwing the sample away, use the material for something else. If you do not like a pattern anymore, reuse the paper for another pattern. Or if you like the pattern and so does your consumer, then improve it every now and then. A business generally has their bread and butter piece, the one that really makes the money. It is your responsibility to update that pattern to suit your customers' needs and desires, so maybe consider changing the color, the fit, or the type of material a bit. Reduce the amount of waste you are producing as much as possible. So, this is all about creating less waste. You can reduce your environmental footprint by designing pieces that are more versatile, allowing the consumer to wear it more. Another way to promote slow fashion is by producing less. Not only will this make you a more sustainable designer, but your garments will also be more exclusive, which is important to some consumers. Recycle items where and if possible. Before throwing something away, ask yourself whether this or a part of this item can be recycled. It is then your responsibility to separate the items that can be recycled, like paper, glass, plastic, and cardboard, from items that can't be recycled. Upcycling is the process of using waste or perhaps unwanted products and transforming them into something new. This is quite a creative process, so maybe you can go thrifting and update all the dresses and freshen them up. That's just an example. When I was a fashion student a long time ago, I knew a guy who used to make leather jackets by using old motorcycle pants. It was not your traditional leather jacket, it was more of a patchwork effect of different leather sewn together, but I have never seen a more creative or beautiful jacket. That is what I call a designer, someone who can make something out of nothing, which takes me to recover. Recover waste by putting it to use. By this I mean taking what may be considered to be waste and reimagining it as a different product. As you start creating patterns and garments, you will notice a lot of paper and material waste. I promise you, if you think hard enough, you will be able to make something out of the waste materials. Whether it is a patchwork dress, making clothes for dolls or children, or using the off-cut fabric pieces as stuffing for pillows. There is always an opportunity. You all know the saying, one man's waste is another man's treasure? I dare you to look at those tiny pieces of fabric differently. Now, I have just given you a few examples, so I want you to do some research of your own and think of more ways you can incorporate these R's into your design process. Quite a lot to think about, but I hope you can see how the 4 R's, reuse, reduce, recycle, and recover, align with the 3 pillars of sustainability. Small changes can make a big difference, and I'm excited to see how you incorporate some of these into your design process. If you want to go through what we have just discussed, please feel free to check out the webinar slides and the summary notes. These are great resources to have at your fingertips and to refer to at any time. On that note, let me tell you about the next lesson. What does it mean to be a successful designer? Is it your design skills, how well you illustrate your designs, your pattern making and sewing skills? Well, yes, these all contribute, but if you don't sell any of your designs, then you are not considered a successful designer from a business perspective. So how do you sell your designs? It really is an art. It involves much more than just posting a photo. To find out more about the art of marketing, please join the next lesson where this and more will be discussed. Like I have said many times, the fashion industry is ever evolving, and it is our responsibility as designers to follow, challenge, and improve it as we take on this role. But how do we do this? How do we stay alive and compete in an industry that keeps on changing? We as designers have to follow the fashion trends in order to create appealing products that the consumers are interested in. Even though designers are the ones who create the trends, it is important to remember that the consumers are the drivers behind the trends. Do you guys remember what trend analysis means? Trend analysis is the prediction of future trends focusing on what will be accepted by the public. Now, to tap into the appropriate trends, we need to study these. As you already know, because designing, pattern making, and the construction of the garment and any other stage during the design process takes time, we have to design for the future. By studying the trends, we can predict consumer shifts and understand the consumer's needs and desires. This information will influence your marketing techniques, product development process, and monetize trends. Overall, it will help you develop a strong business strategy, which is essential when it comes to business planning. Trend forecasting is a skill that takes time to develop. Because we can't focus on all the different roles in the fashion design industry, forecasters create documents for us to refer to. Now, where can I find some of these valuable resources? There are many, including WGSN, but one of my favorite resources is the annual The State of the Fashion Report by McKinsey & Company and the Business of Fashion. The State of Fashion is a yearly report predicting the key fashion trends of the year ahead by questioning and researching current trends or themes, any issues and opportunities in the fashion industry. This report will offer great insights to the independent designer and consumer about what is happening in the fashion industry on a global scale. Worth a read, in my opinion. This report includes a lot of valuable information, but what I find most useful is their 10 defining themes for the year, and these focus on the global economy, consumer shifts, and the fashion system. Straight away, we can see some correlation between the topics and the 3 pillars of sustainability. Let's look at the 2020 report and what it included. I'm not going to list all the themes discussed, but only the ones that I found most relevant to the independent designer. I do want you to go check out some of these reports, read and compare them. Also, please let me know whether or not you have seen some of these themes arise and perhaps evolve in your area by telling Morpheus about it. If you have, perhaps consider incorporating some of these themes into your design process or your business model. I'm going to look at consumer shifts and some of the fashion system themes, starting with consumer shifts. Next Gen Social. Since social media is a key player, you need to have a digital footprint as a designer to stay alive. But you will have to rethink the traditional strategies of engagement to maximize your return on marketing spend. What does this mean? You need to find new ways of covering your marketing expenses by turning your leads, which are your potential customers, into actual customers. So, we want them to go through your digital journey, buying something at the end. How do we do that? First of all, you need to meet your target market in the right place, so you need to be on the right social media platforms. You need to create attention-grabbing content often. Consistency is key for engagement and to stay relevant. And create a seamless checkout journey. Now, this one is a bit tricky when you are a new designer because all of us can't afford a website at first, but it is important to try and be as seamless as possible. What does this mean? Let's say I want to buy a nice dress for an event and I have found two I really like from two different brands. The one I can buy online and pay for it on the website and it gets delivered to me. The other dress I need to order by sending an email. I then need to pay and send proof of payment to the designer. The dress will be delivered to me. Even though the process is similar, there are more steps involved for dress number 2, and for that reason, I am more inclined to purchase dress number 1 because of its simplified, user-friendly checkout journey. How can you be more seamless without a website? Explain your journey from the start, try and cut our group parts of the journey together, and respond quickly to inquiries or orders. Sustainability first. As we already know, the fashion industry consumes a lot of energy and other natural resources and is quite damaging to the environment. For that reason, fashion designers need to take meaningful action to meet the demand for change led by younger consumers. Consumers are more aware than ever about the environmental and social impacts of fashion and consider sustainable alternatives when purchasing. They, and I am mostly referring to the Gen Z and millennial consumers, are even willing to pay more for something sustainably made. Next up, we are going to look at fashion systems, looking at material revolution first. So, it makes sense that another theme is all about designers exploring alternative fabrics that deliver on aesthetics, functionality, and sustainability. Now, this theme does not only refer to exploring eco-friendly fabrics, but also high-tech fabrics. Since there is a movement, maybe it is a good idea to consider using more sustainable fabrics when designing and creating. Don't you agree? Inclusive culture. Consumers are also more aware of diversity and inclusivity, which means you also need to be. It is important to make inclusivity a priority in your business. And inclusivity includes a diversity of race, cultures, gender, and even sizes. Have you seen this change happening in your area? I can think of a few examples like models of different colors and sizes on the runway and marketing campaigns, more gender-neutral clothing and more inclusive sizes in the shops. Can you think of more? Again, since this is important to your consumers, it should be important to you and also beneficial to your business to try and be as inclusive as possible as a brand owner and designer. These are just 4 out of the 10 themes discussed, but I can see these happening and evolving into trends. So when I design, I try to keep these in mind. We have looked at many ways to be a more sustainable designer, right? But some of us will not be independent designers, and that is perfectly okay. There are also other ways you can contribute by being a conscious and sustainable consumer. Let us look at some cool tips of how we can do this. Now you will see these tips are divided into 3 sections: reuse, reduce, and recycle. Let's take a look at the first set of reuse tips. Increase the number of times you wear an item of clothing. According to a study conducted, Wearing your clothes as much as possible is one of the most impactful ways you can reduce your environmental footprint. Repair your clothing. Repairing your clothes is not a new thing at all. Repairing your clothes can be as simple as replacing a button to inserting a new zip or repairing a torn seam. It is a great way to get creative, a great way to learn more from the older family members in your family while being more environmentally conscious. Next up, some reduce tips. Take care of your clothing. Now, you are probably wondering, how do I do this, right? An easy way to increase the longevity of a garment is to follow the care instructions on the label. This will include washing, drying, and iron instructions. Remember, quality over quantity. Clothing of higher quality will cost a bit more, but it will last longer, making it a more sustainable purchase. I understand we are all here because we like clothes. I am not saying you are not allowed to buy pretty trendy clothing, but consider buying good basics like your jeans, t-shirts, and the things you wear often. Another way to be more sustainable is to avoid buying into fads. Instead, build a wardrobe that includes a few high-quality basic items that you wear often and some amazing fashion-forward pieces. Another important tip is to go for eco-friendly fabrics. Now this includes linens, hemps, bamboo, organic cotton, any recycled material, or low-impact fabric like tencel. These items will be a bit more pricey, but will definitely help reduce your environmental footprint. Rent your clothes. Now, this is not so new anymore, but rental services are great for those special occasions or for any kind of event. These services allow you to hire the item of your choice, which is great because, again, it reduces your environmental impact and you are not compromising on your style. In fact, with rental services, you can actually up your style, as you can rent amazing designer outfits that you won't be able to afford otherwise. Let's look at some recycle tips. Upcycle your clothes. Try and be creative and transform what you have into something even more incredible. It does not mean you need to turn a piece of clothing into another piece of clothing. You can make bags, accessories, anything really. If you can't upcycle, you can always try to sell your clothes. This way you can make some space in your cupboard while making some money. It's a win-win situation in my opinion. If selling your clothes is not really your thing, you can always donate your clothes to people in need. Out of all of these tips we have just gone through, which one do you think you will adopt from today? I already try and wear my clothes as much as possible. I follow the care instructions and I buy quality over quantity. I am also a fan of eco-friendly fabrics. What I do want to adopt is repairing my own clothes instead of putting it away and kind of forgetting about it. I think it is a wonderful way to learn more about garment construction and it forces you to be creative. That is mine. What is yours? I can talk about sustainable fashion for very long because there is so much to talk about. I hope that I have opened your eyes a bit, but also made you look forward to the future of fashion. I hope you are ready to take your place in this incredible industry, make it your own, and create something that not only you, but also future generations will be proud of. For today's challenge, I want you to download the newest State of Fashion report, study it, and share your thoughts about one of the key themes in no more than 200 words. Please, as always, feel free to share your thoughts on our Show Academy Facebook group and remember to use the hashtag ShowFashionFuture. Good luck, guys. I'm eager to read what you have found. Congratulations, guys. You are done with lesson 5. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to having all of you back for lesson 6, marketing and merchandising. Let's take a second and revisit our lesson quote. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. Does it mean something different to you now after this lesson? We often think we are not enough to make the world a better place, that our efforts are not enough. But if you do your bit and I do my bit, and we inspire those around us to do their bit, it will make a difference. Being a fashion designer has a ripple effect. It affects the economy, it affects people all around the world, and it affects the environment. It is up to you what kind of effect it has. So, are you going to work hard to join the fashion revolution and challenge the industry to be more sustainable? Or are you going to take the easy road and go with the destructive flow? Until next time, as always, stay fashionable.